What if I told you that United States is actually no more the leader in artificial intelligence? Despite setbacks, China has actually caught up really well. China's new AI model, the LLM model DeepSeek version 3, has actually shown extremely good benchmark results. In fact, it has shown to beat some of the best from United States at this point in time. So in this video, I'll talk about what is going on right now in the world of AI. How did China catch up so fast? And what does it mean for all of us at the global stage? Let's go talk about a little bit of backstory. During 2017, China was actually aggressively wanting to take lead in the space of artificial intelligence. They had talked about a very big goal for themselves, and they said, you know what, we're going to be leaders in artificial intelligence by 2030. But around 2020, what happened is China and the government, they actually had a crackdown on some of their big tech companies. Again, there was a lot of regulation, transparency, there were issues around that. When the government actually went after these companies, the result was that there was a loss of about $1 trillion in their economy. So instead of the goal which they had set up to grow and become an AI leader by 2030, now suddenly their biggest technology companies were actually messed up and they were already down under by about $1 trillion. And amidst all of this, around 2021, 22, China was still working on the chatbots and they've launched some of their chatbots during that period, but nothing significant. And then ChatGPT came along and took the world by surprise. So this was kind of a shocker for everybody. In fact, it is very well documented that Chinese researchers and developers, they were quite shocked by this progress made by United States so fast overall. And this was not just a technology breakthrough. Countries are often watching some of these things as a strategic maneuver, strategic investment to retain global power and global footprint. So, United States, the Biden administration, seeing the kind of progress AI had made, by end of 2022, they actually launched a plan or sanctions against China to acquire the kind of hardware which is required for artificial intelligence training and models building. Basically, this sanction means you cannot get your hands onto the hardware what we have on which we are training and building our artificial intelligence models. This sanction would basically ensure companies like Nvidia and their allies cannot supply to China. And the hope was that China and all other countries, their progress on AI is slowed down. United States take a big lead overall globally and becomes the AI champion of the world, right? Becoming a champion comes with several benefits. This has military related benefits, this has strategic benefits and infrastructure. So it's again a race for global dominance by countries. But fast forward today, something amazing has happened. China and its AI progress has suddenly become parallel to what United States has achieved. Towards the end of 2024, Chinese companies launched some of the models which are showing better benchmark results or equivalent benchmark results to what United States companies have shown. In fact, let me read some of the statistics for you. In November 2024, Alibaba and DeepSeek, they launched reasoning models that rival OpenAI's ChatGPT. In fact, Tencent, one of their company, also unveiled a model, Hunyan Large, that actually outperformed US-made open source models. And the biggest of them was when DeepSeek launched their version 3 of DeepSeek model. This became the top performing open source model globally. Now, Eric Schmidt, who was the ex CEO of Google, he has gone around given a lot of talks on AI and the progress of AI, and he's always talked about, every time he's asked about the comparison between United States and China and some of the other emerging technology countries in the world, he always says that United States and China are like, at least US is about 3 years ahead of China. And in the space of AI, that is like eternity. It's like nobody can catch us. Even during November 2024, Eric, in one of his talks, actually accepted that he made a huge mistake. He didn't realize that China will catch up so fast. So in the next portion of the video, let's try and understand quickly as to what happened. I'll kind of try and summarize what has happened based on all my readings, and hopefully this will give you some context. For any country to make progress on AI, there are four pieces required, or there are four pieces to the puzzle. One is the data required to train these models. Number two are the algorithms, which is what you run to train these models. Number three is the compute power, which is basically your hardware on which all of this computation runs. And number four is the talent. Let's go from talent. China actually has been producing a lot of talent in this space. If you read some papers on this, you'll be shocked to see that the kind of engineering and math and PhD talent which China has been producing is far superseding what US is seeing. So China really doesn't have that worry. The algorithms, most of those are open source, and most of them are sort of a shared intelligence, and they are available openly. So there is nothing which stops any country from making progress there. Number three is access to or creating a large sets of data. Again, that's mostly available globally, and companies and countries can take care of that if that need be. Today, that data, the large sets of data, is actually available and shared across the globe. So the only deterrent or only thing which defines players and experts and champions and leaders is what kind of compute they have. And this is probably one of the reasons Nvidia has become one of the most valuable companies suddenly, because everybody wants their latest and greatest chips, right? And hence the reason why United States tried putting a sanction of China, so they really cannot get their hands onto the kind of chips which are really required to make the progress which United States has been making. The hardware became the longest pole in the tent for China. Now, here are a few things which I read and I've been tracking over the time, what China did and some of these Chinese companies did, which kind of turned things around for them. Number one, the company DeepSeek, it is reported they actually overbought the hardware before the sanction timeline went into picture. So the government, the Biden administration, put the timeline of by when the ban goes out. It's like, a store is selling out and they say store closing sale, and before the store closes, you go and pick up all the inventory at whatever prices they have, right? So something similar to that happened, and they basically acquired more than 10,000 units as it is reported in the media, and they basically piled all the hardware they could. Specifically, these were the NVIDIA A100 CPUs. They were all acquired during 2022. Here is another very interesting thing happened during that time. NVIDIA actually created another chip which followed all the guidelines of the kind of product you need for AI training, but also not cross the boundaries of the restrictions. So basically, without breaking the law, they created another product which could be sold to companies outside of United States, right? So that way they also found a big market of buyers of these chips, which could be still used for AI training. They may not be as powerful as they were supplying in the United States, but that was point number two. And point number three, I obviously cannot verify, but this is out there in the media, and several outlets have written about it, that China used a lot of shell companies to acquire the kind of hardware they wanted to acquire to continue making their progress, right? So Hunyan Large, the Tencent's model, actually trained on the restricted NVIDIA H20 GPUs, has actually outperformed Meta's Llama 3.1 in several benchmarks. Similarly, the DeepSeek version 3 is actually required minimal resources, minimal compute resources, and it was developed even with having all the hardware limitations they had. And the last point is, even though these benchmarks don't fully capture the complete AI intelligence or doesn't compare all models on all aspects, it's very clear that the Hunyan Large and its performance is actually using less hardware or less powerful hardware to still bring out the most of what their AI models are able to do. All right, so till now we've covered how did this happen, what happened, and what kind of progress China has made. Now let's wrap up this last section and just spend a few minutes talking about why this is a big deal and what does it mean for the world, right? So one thing is very clear with some of this open source progress which China has shown in the space of AI, it is very, very clear that the The shift is taking place, the world order is changing. United States is no more just the leader in this space by many years and many light years in terms of technology. China has actually caught up. By 2024 end of that, China has almost caught up to United States, irrespective of the kind of limitations they've had. So it's a big deal. It's very clear that another technology leader has come up on the horizon in the artificial intelligence space. And like I said before, this is not just a technology, improvement or innovation project, or this is actually race for global domination. What's going to happen is that the leader in this space will have an edge in how the cybersecurity attacks are mounted, or how the cybersecurity attacks are protected against. Number two, this could have major ramifications in weapons development and the whole weapon systems and armory and all of that good stuff also. This could have huge impacts on the automation work which takes place in the manufacturing space, and how companies and countries can actually get ahead of each other using technology and robotics and artificial intelligence. Overall, this is very interesting development from my perspective. I've been watching this space for a while now, and with Trump coming in, especially now, this race is going to get even further hot. But what are your views? If you have any questions for me related to AI development and what's happening in the industry, feel free to reach out. Happy to chat through the comments. But thanks for now. Hope you had enjoyed this conversation, enjoyed this kind of a review of my view on how China has suddenly become an AI powerhouse, and hopefully you learned something from it. Thank you so much.